especially when you're meeting new people, like when you just break that ice, you realize the other person is like just as nervous as you are.
100%.
Or they're just like waiting for somebody to talk to them. They don't want to like make the first move.
I'm Trizzy.
And I'm Leah.
And this is Ticket to Anywhere podcast, bringing you the gear, tools, and tips to equip you for a travel-filled life.
No matter your travel experience or lack thereof, we aim to be your first stop when you're thinking of where to go, how to get there, what to bring, and what to do.
Catch the latest episode every other Wednesday on YouTube or your favorite listening app.
We'd love to connect with you. Find Ticket to Anywhere on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Pinterest, and LinkedIn.
Welcome back to the Ticket to Anywhere podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Trizzy.
And I'm Leah, LA in Flights, and we are live on location at the Adventure Abode up in Big Bear, which is only 2.5 hours away from Los Angeles proper, in a beautiful homestay that our good friend, Akemi, has created with so much love. She put in so much love and hard work over the past year, and we're so happy to use it as our filming location and soundstage for this episode.
It doesn't even have to be a homestay. If you want to come here, relax, and record an episode of a podcast, this place is amazing.
Yes.
It has everything that you need. Like, look at these colorful, vibrant decoration, furniture behind us.
Mm-hmm. Comes with more amenities than any other homestay that I've been in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not even saying that because she's a friend. Yeah. I counted them.
No, for real. No, seriously. And like Big Bear, for those in LA, for those who do know Big Bear, they always come in the winter, but there's tons to do in the summer when it's not snowing. Me, I'm an adult. I love manually riding on the Mineshaft coaster, which is a mountain roller coaster that you control the speed and everything.
I love a roller coaster.
So fun. Y'all gotta come through Big Bear. Like,
let's go
during the summer, during the fall, not just the
tomorrow.
Winter. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I'm down. I don't even know what this is.
Okay.
I don't even know what this is.
Insert B-roll.
Okay. So today's episode, how to make friends on the road, how to find your community while traveling, and maybe even at home during those downtimes of not traveling.
Exactly.
Making friends in general.
It was great having Akemi on because we met her through a travel community, and now making that connection, making that friendship, keeping that friendship has brought us here.
Filming in her space.
Yeah. So we thank you, Akemi, for everything.
Our aim is that this episode will help those that are curious and really willing to try and keep that community alive and keep those friendships alive, and tips on even how to meet people when you're in certain situations, whether that's at home or you're traveling, right?
Yeah, 100. And you'll hear a lot of us, like us three, kind of become very vulnerable to making friends
in many different ways.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's a good episode, and we realize we love filming with multiple people and in person, so we need to do this more.
The energy is alive for sure, especially when you're sipping on something that's not coffee for the show. We got a little something different.
I got a little tripped up in the episode, but we won't do that again, or we might. Who knows?
What you drinking on?
I'm actually drinking a 21 Seeds Cucumber Jalapeno Tequila with Contro, and then a light margarita mix with tahini on the rim. You can't go wrong, honestly.
That's fancy. Very fancy. And me, I am basic because I'm still sipping on my tea. I don't really drink alcohol. I'm drinking hojicha tea leaves in this mug of mine.
I love
this
it.
Travel mug. Insulated mug.
We're excited that we're here at the Adventure Abode in Big Bear. And to many more drinks, many more friends, many more stays with adventure.
Cheers to
that.
Hey y'all, Trizzy here. I just wanted to give you a heads up that Ticket to Anywhere will not be releasing episodes in the month of July. We are taking a summer break, so we'll see you back in August. Feel free to listen to our past episodes while we're cooking up some new ones. And continue to connect with us on social media. Thanks for your support.
So how to make friends while traveling, Akemi? Thank you so much for being our guest today. One of the most special friends we've met while traveling.
Aww.
Exactly. We are shooting on location right now. So for those listening, you guys got to hop on YouTube to check out Akemi's abode. This is
Beautiful.
her homestay. And look at the setup that she has for us. Oh my gosh.
So colorful. Will put you in the best mood. Super bright, comfortable, modern. Yeah, we love it.
Exactly.
Let's talk about how we first met. How we, T2A, met you.
That's true. Because I met Akemi through you, basically. I feel like.
Yeah.
I remember. I remember first meeting you.
Okay.
It was.
I don't remember.
Okay. I do and I told you this a few months later that.
Oh yeah. Oh, now I remember. Okay.
I do remember. So Akemi and I are part of a wonderful women's travel group in Los Angeles, the Los Angeles chapter called Wonderful, which our friend Nayla runs. And so Nayla, was it July 2021, had like a let's be back in person get together.
Like one of the first times we got back together after being in COVID lockdown.
Yes. So it was like a year and some months after
we all had
COVID.
masks.
Yeah. And we're outside at, what's that place in Culver City?
Is it like the Citizen?
Yeah.
It's like a food
The
hall?
park.
It's across the street from the Citizen because I was just there
okay.
last night.
Oh, it's
The park.
is
The
it
platform.
Platform.
We were at Platform.
Yeah.
And that's where I met Akemi. It was like summer, and I thought you hated me. That's how I remember it, because I was like, oh, she seems really nice, but like she does not seem receptive towards my personality.
No,
So I remember that, and I was like, walked away, and I was like, I wish y'all, if you're watching on YouTube, I wish you could see my face. I was like, I don't know how that went.
I think it was because of the COVID like social. I hadn't been out in a long time.
You didn't know how to
that's
act?
true.
Like, I don't know. I have like the resting bee face. I don't know.
And like you're probably just scared. Like, who is this person that I don't know? Like, can I go a little bit closer? Can I not?
Oh my gosh,
no, you know what
right.
though? I really liked how you were so talkative.
Oh,
And like I was like, yes, I love people who are talkative.
Aw.
And maybe I was just on a quiet day. I don't know.
maybe. Well, and it was the first time a lot of us have gotten together in a long, long time.
It was. I remember wearing this mask that my friend gave me, but I was like hardly going out at that time.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy.
Yeah. And then I can't remember, it was probably the next wonderful meetup, whenever that was. You seemed like your normal self, like we know you today. Not like your normal self, but the outgoing, bubbly, friendly person we know
I got
today.
more training.
When I first met you, I just remember you were just like, you had like that, that emoji that does like the smile and the teeth, but not the eyes.
Oh my God.
The one that's like, I felt like that was your attitude. I was like,
But you know what? Since you told me that, I realized that maybe I need to pay more attention to my face when I'm meeting people and say more things to let people know that I am happy to see you.
Yeah, that you're friendly, because my first impression was not
yeah.
that.
When did you meet?
The first
when did we
physical meet was Wanderfest last year in New Orleans.
Oh yeah.
But we had been internet friends or social media friends
Uh-huh.
because I think Leah followed you, and then you might have followed like the podcast and me. So I was like, oh, I'll follow back. That's how you show love to people, right?
Exactly.
And then
That's
Christine,
how you start making friends
exactly.
while you're traveling.
And then Christine
Yes.
Lozada put us all on a group chat.
And
And I was like,
That's
oh,
what it
Akemi, I
was.
recognize that name. And then obviously in New Orleans we were like pre-introduced, so it felt comfortable.
right.
So maybe that was why I got a different first impression of
I know.
Akemi.
And that was
We were
definitely
like coming out of our COVID caves.
Yeah.
that was definitely I had more experience being more social and
Yeah.
I think that's a testament to how all the travel events we've been to, they give us a safe space to meet others
Yeah.
and to form those friendships. But I'd love to hear, I know you, Akemi, you seem so outgoing and genuine and kind, and I know you're involved heavily in a lot of different things online and in LA. But the main gist of this episode is how to make friends while you're traveling abroad, how to find your community when you're traveling. So I'd love to hear more about how you do it and your thoughts on that.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of solo travel, and as I was sharing with you earlier, I found it a lot easier to make friends when I'm solo traveling than when I'm with people. And I think it's because when you're with people, you kind of tend to just talk to the people that you're with. And it's a little bit harder to break out, at least for me, and go talk to a stranger. And when I'm traveling by myself, I find that I'm way more open to talking to people. Like if I'm at a restaurant or something, I will definitely strike up a conversation with the waiter or the bartender. And I usually ask questions about the place that I'm in. And that usually opens them up a little bit, like, oh, do you know a good place to eat Italian food or whatever? And then that kind of like lets them know that I'm here on a trip, and I'm gives them context.
I like that the fact that you are talking to like a waiter or a bartender first, because a lot of people think that they can't talk to them,
Oh, right.
right? And that is probably one of the easiest way to talk to somebody, because they have to respond. They have to help you out,
Yeah, their service.
right? Yeah.
Or maybe that's why people don't talk to them, because they think like, oh, they're working. They're service workers.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want to talk to me. That type of.
I mean, sometimes people are having a bad day, so they don't want to talk back. But
Right, right.
But I do think bartenders, like that, I swear that's part of their job.
yeah,
Is to
for
like
sure.
connect people to places, to connect people to other people and places.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure. Yeah.
Do you feel that building and finding community in LA is easier, harder, the same than when you're traveling, or what have you noticed between the two? And to piggyback off that, do you keep in touch with a lot of people you've met on the road?
Yeah, that's interesting because I find like when I travel, I get to know people better and in a shorter period of time than the people that I meet in LA. I feel like when you're traveling, there's a lot of like things happening, and like maybe you go through some kind of crazy thing. Like, oh my God, we got in this taxi and they got us lost and blah, blah, blah. And then you have this shared experience. And along the way, you end up like feeling like you've known these people forever. Whereas sometimes when I meet people in LA, it's pretty polite, it's pretty sterile and sanitary and nice. And then you just never see people again. And so for me, when I meet people in LA, in order to meet people in LA, I found it's good to connect with groups. So like the Wonderful group is really cool. And that way you get a bunch of people who come together who all have a common interest and maybe expect to meet people. So I'm interested in a lot of things. Like I'm interested in traveling and in photography and social media stuff. So I kind of like pay attention on Instagram when there's like a meetup happening, and sometimes I'll just show up to random places. And I feel pretty comfortable in those situations. I find myself more comfortable in a situation with a bunch of strangers than sometimes with a bunch of people that I know.
I feel you on that. Sometimes in certain situations.
Because sometimes with people that you know, it's like, how well do you know them? Like, maybe there's this like, oh, you're at work and you know these people through work, so you have to be a certain way.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I judge myself too much.
No, I think I'm with you on that, because I am very opposite of Leah. I'm not super social, right? Without her, I obviously wouldn't have met you and all our travel friends, all travel community friends. But when I met you guys at Wanderfest, I was so comfortable because it's like-minded people. We're all into traveling. We all just want to create, and we all, most importantly, support each other. And we know how easy it is just to hit that follow, hit that subscribe. With like-minded people, it's just so comfortable.
I heard a crazy sidebar. I heard a crazy quote the other day, or it's a popular sound, trending sound on Instagram right now as of mid-June. Like, your social media is not for your friends; it's for the people that like want to discover you when you need to be there for them. So if you being there for them is like telling them where hidden gems are up in Big Bear,
Yeah,
that's it. But are your friends necessarily looking for that? Probably not.
that's true. Yeah.
That's so true.
Anyways, that could be a whole different episode, as I usually
Yeah.
say. So I'm curious then, Trizzy, even in like basketball communities or like fried chicken communities, like Do you feel that camaraderie?
Well, if anybody knows of a fried chicken community, I would love to hop
Girl,
on that meetup.
go to Facebook groups right now and type in fried chicken communities.
That's
I'm gonna do it
hilarious.
right now.
Leah's looking it up right now. For basketball communities, I haven't found one because I have always been injured. So what I do is I just shoot basketball by myself and play with like my circle of friends. And we just shoot around. We're not even competitively playing 3-on-3. You found a fried chicken community, right?
There's a Pinoy fried chicken community. And then there's a fried chicken lovers
Okay, I'll
and
join
a
that
fried
one.
chicken appreciation society.
Wow.
Society.
Girl.
Sounds very culty.
You must eat fried chicken.
No, yeah.
But you do, if anyone follows Trizzy online, you go to a lot of branded or not branded yoga
like
events,
fitness
running
events,
events,
yeah.
fitness events.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see some of the same people at those?
I do. So particularly the Nike Running Club or the
Mhm.
Nike Training Club. Before they started, or when I first started with them, I would consider myself one of like the OG Nike training members when they started doing run clubs in their Santa Monica branch. And then it just like went all over Southern California, like it blew
Wow.
up. I did have like a community in there of friends who I'm still like in talks with on social media,
Yeah.
but not like to the level where I'm gonna create with you or I'm going to
Right.
meet up with lunch or something.
Right.
That time when I was younger, it was easier for me to be friends with them because that was social Trizzy.
Mhm.
I was like always out and about trying to network and stuff. But nowadays, I don't know if it's because people are maybe older that goes to these Nike events,
Mhm.
but they're you know, they're in their own bubble. They don't really seem as approachable as the group that I met back in the day. So,
Really?
yeah. So I
When did you
can't
start
speak on that.
going?
This was back in 2000, maybe 10,
Oh my
2011.
gosh.
Yeah.
Over a decade ago.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. It was crazy to think about it. But it was me because I lived so far from LA
Yeah.
proper. I always looked at any excuse, like any events on the west side for me to
Yep.
go, and I came
To be
across
there.
Nike when they were starting, like, the Nike Field Band days.
Mhm.
So they had events for that, and I would always be like, I'm going there.
Back then, you were in the same spot that I'm in now.
Mhm.
So I live, out in the suburbs. And
Right.
I'm always down in LA. You wouldn't even think that I live out in the suburbs because I'm in LA proper X amount of times per week.
Mhm.
So I reach for community and I purposely tried to make it.
You're like traveling every day.
Almost. I mean, the last 3 days I've actually I drove to the gym and back and therapy, physical therapy and back, and that's it. But when I'm on the road, because Trizzy, you say, you're the opposite of me. When I'm on the road, I think I do the same thing because I travel solo mostly.
Mhm.
I know you had said that you had friends or people or people reaching out to you asking like, oh, people are still curious as to like how to make friends on the road. So if you remember any of those questions, just blurt them out.
Yeah.
Akemi, things like Wanderfest and Wits and any other social events you can think of. Um, how are those for you? Like, do you feel, well, I don't want to ask, do they feel like you strengthen your relationships, but like, what do you hope to gain out of them, at least with other people?
Seriously, like those events are the best for me because of the people that I meet. And I'm like a pretty people-centered person. So I know those events offer a lot of really cool workshops and like how-to things and how to like develop your podcast or your photography and all of those things. But for me, actually, I go because I love to connect with the people. And even people who live in LA, like Trizzy, you live in LA, except I hardly see you
I
because
know.
you're always traveling.
Never in
Oh.
LA. So
I'll be staying put for a while.
she's never in LA.
But even if you were in LA, like I'm busy, you're busy, like we all have our things going on. And so sometimes when we get together in one place, that's like the moment. And then there's like a party that's set up because they always have a party. Then it's like, woohoo, I get to see all my friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And also I feel like there's this extra impetus to like be social and to step out of that comfort zone of like, oh, I know these people, but hey, you know, like what's your name? And um
100%.
it's a little easier to like break the ice, I think, when you're at festivals and things like that, because you know already like that they're there for whatever reason, whether it's travel or
Socializing and stuff.
You know what's funny? That I mean, like, I'm excited we're heading there in August, but Podcast Movement last year, it's a massive podcasting conference that happens once a year, every year, different location. And I went solo to Dallas last year, right after the day after I landed home from being in Bali for 3 weeks. And it was probably one of the scariest things I've ever, probably scarier than honestly going on a solo trip to wherever the heck I go, Philippines
Wow.
and South America.
Yeah.
I think it's because we're like in the same industry, right?
yeah, I get that.
A lot of
True.
things. If I'm going on a solo trip to South America, like people don't there's already automatically language barrier. So, and I speak decent Spanish, but automatically language barrier, like if you mess up, it's fine, it's allowed because language barrier
Yeah.
for whatever reason, right? And also you're never gonna see these people again, right? When you're
Yeah.
traveling. But if I'm at podcast movement and we're creating this amazing piece of work called Ticket to Anywhere that's very public personas, you know, and people meet you in person and they're judging you against your podcast, and like it's so nerve-wracking. And then all I got asked every other hour was, "Oh, where's your co-host? Where's your co-host?" I'm like, "Geez, good thing we're a travel podcast because she's literally in the Philippines right now getting content for the podcast. So everyone leave me alone." But it
Yeah.
was nerve-wracking. I think it's because, you know, I'm there trying to be like these people, like
Yeah, I felt that too.
big like these people. Not, I don't want to worship the ground they walk on, but
Right,
you know,
right.
some of them, or I don't want to idolize anyone, but some of them we look up to.
Yeah.
And so, and then I went to the parties alone, which was even scarier
Right. Yeah.
because everyone's just drunk.
Yeah. So, were you one of few females as well?
Okay, so podcast movement is interesting because it's independent podcasters. It's people who are starting to make a lot of money, right? And then it's also industry. So at this rate, and I told so many people this at the past few conferences I went to, at this rate, it's basically a tech conference. And like, you know, I used to work in advertising, so it was like those big parties where they'd have big bar budgets, etc. So there were a lot of women there, but that's because they work in the space, not necessarily because they're a podcaster,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So definitely one of few Asians there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 100%. One of very few Asians. Podcasting is very much still a white male centric medium. But anyways, we're skewing a little.
That's a whole nother topic for another podcast.
She's taking your line. She's taking your line.
A whole other topic. But so if we were to send you on a trip right now, you want to go make friends, what are some ways you would do it? What are some ways that you could tell others how to do it?
So, okay, my personal experience has been like, okay, I've made more friends, I think, traveling in places that are off the beaten track. So I've done traveling in like India and China and Southeast Asia. And I feel like I made a lot more friends in those places than I did traveling in Europe. And in Europe, like I didn't stay in hostels so much. Um, yeah, I'm not sure what it was, but I just didn't connect with people. I mean, of course, like we went out drinking and whatever, but I feel like the people that I met in India were maybe because at the time I was more on this like finding myself. Like I'm just gonna buy a one-way ticket and just go, and like who knows where I'll go. I didn't have a plan, and it was like I could meet somebody and then ask them where they went and then get some like background and maybe meet them later somewhere. I remember these German girls who like we ended up finding each other somewhere else in like a different part of Asia. And then we stayed friends on social media, and one of them like had a big birthday in Spain, and she invited like all of her travel friends to go. I couldn't go.
Wow. I love that.
I felt like it was such a connection at that time that and our language, like, she didn't speak that much English, I didn't speak any German. I learned a little bit of German, and, but we had so much fun, and we had, like, these great experiences together that I'll never forget. I know that she won't forget, and so it felt like such a much more deeper, like, connection, and I think that one started because we were on a bus that got stuck in the mud in Cambodia for, like, 8 hours. And I actually met, like, a few people
Oh my
we were just
gosh.
stuck there and we couldn't move.
But I wonder if you're talking about Europe versus India, Southeast Asia. I wonder if it's a few different factors playing in here where you said it was easier in South and Southeast Asia than Europe. I mean, the biggest one obviously that you were trying to meet people in South and Southeast Asia, whereas like Europe or you weren't staying in hostels, right? Were you with friends?
I was going, like, between friends.
Between friends.
So I was,
Okay.
like, visiting a friend in like, in London and then visiting another friend in, like, Ireland. And then along the way, like, staying different places by myself, but ultimately, like, going to visit somebody there. And then I think my friend in Ireland, I ended up staying with her a couple nights, but then, like, going around Ireland by myself and coming back to visit her again. And there was, like, people who were on their own little tour, and they were doing their own thing. So I would kinda, like, hang out with them a little bit, talk to them a little bit, and not really have a connection.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it was because in Asia, like, we would always there'd be something, like the train would be late or the bus breaks
Well, that
down, and
that
you're
was
just
my
like,
next
"Ugh."
point is that going through a traumatic event together,
Yeah.
whether it's your bus breaking down or the ATM swallowing all your cards
Oof.
or something as little as that, the electricity going off at the restaurant you're eating at, like, traumatic
Yeah,
events
it
bond
bonds you
people.
Yeah.
together.
And, like, that's what I've noticed when I, was in Machu Picchu or in Cusco when everyone would do their group trips hiking up to Machu Picchu. Even though it was only 4 days, they'd go in, like, groups of 12. They would literally come back like they've never hung out with anyone else in their life, like the best of friends, family,
Aw.
this person's gonna officiate my wedding type of stuff. They would be the
Yeah.
closest I've ever seen people. It's crazy. I'm like, things like that. And that wasn't traumatic, but like events in general.
Mhm.
And even, like, the language thing too, because I feel like you make more of an effort if you're just stuck somewhere. Because 'Cause I've been stuck at so many, like, train stations, but I remember one time there was these Japanese, people, like 4 or 5 of them, and we were waiting at a bus station in India, and I'm half Japanese, and I don't really speak a lot of Japanese. I speak a tiny, tiny bit. And I remember just, like, striking up a conversation, like, we were sign language, and then we played cards because cards are universal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, that was really fun. We didn't really stay in touch because the language barrier, but that was really fun.
Yeah.
Um, but I was also gonna bring up, like, something that I don't know if you've heard the saying, like, "You have friends for a reason, a season, or forever," something like that.
Ooh, friends for a reason or a season or forever. Wow.
I've heard that before.
Strong.
And I feel
It's
like
true.
yeah, like, for traveling, sometimes it's like the season. It's like, while you're traveling, you end up seeing these people over and over and over, and maybe, you're friends for that season, or, like, you're in school, and so you're friends because you're in school together, but then you sort of drift apart.
Not me and Leah, though. Not me and Leah.
See, there you go, and then it's, like, forever,
Yep.
and then that's those
Forever.
friends that you, like, click with,
Yeah.
but how do you, like it's hard to know and how you're gonna click with someone, because and then when you travel, though, I feel like it opens up your mind to be more open to friendship with whoever, instead of being at home and, like, you're just going to work, and so you're I mean, in LA, we're never on public transportation, at least I'm
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
If you're on the subway in New York, like, are you, like, chatting it up with your fellow passenger? Like, I think
Right.
so.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
You're just, like, on your path, and you're not open.
You mentioned something about like it's hard to know if you'll click with someone or if you'll stay in touch with them. But at the same time, I feel that a lot of my friendships with friends abroad thrive because I actively try to communicate frequently with them,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, it takes work.
Thank you.
Relationships take
Wanna
work.
elaborate on that? Like,
Yeah,
relationships in general, relationship any kind, romantic, platonic,
Mhm.
totally.
familial.
I mean, I've learned that even if it's just a little quick text or, like, um, a little star emoji or something, like, "I'm thinking of you," I have a really good friend of mine, and she and I went to PT school. Well, actually, I was her teacher, and then we became friends. But she moved to a different state and different time zone, and then we decided we would just send each other like the 111.
Oh, like the time?
Yeah, like when you see the numbers all at once, like 333.
Yeah.
Angel numbers.
Yeah, yeah. And so we would send that to each other, and that's kind of like
Aw.
cute and fun.
Yeah.
And it's just a way to say like, "Oh, I'm thinking of you."
Yeah.
Yep.
Or voice messages on
Yeah.
they go a long way.
I love a good voice note. Y'all want a voice note for me? DM me. I'll send you a 30-minute one.
And that's great.
They go a long way.
It goes a long way, and, like, I used to think that you needed to have a lot of time to, like, connect with somebody over the phone. I mean, I've had long conversations with people on the phone, but it, like, doesn't take that much to keep in touch with people and to have friendships.
You know, I have a really good friend. Her name's Diana. She's a legend. She won't mind me dropping her name, but she is master networker and she's a career coach now, so it makes sense. But I remember when we first got out of college, we were 23 years old. Um, and she would just tell me about herself. She's like, I literally message my promoters back. She's from Miami. She's like, I message my promoters every holiday back in Miami and be like, Merry Christmas, hope your family's well. So I am kept top of mind every time I come back and I want entry into the club or I want a table. She literally told me
Nice.
those words
Yeah,
verbatim.
that it makes so much
Keeps in
sense.
touch with her promoters. Like,
Wow.
but it's those little things that add up and that can make a big difference.
Yeah, because how many times do you think of a friend, but then not, like, mention to them that you're thinking of them? And then it's like, "Oh, so and so has not called me in so long, they must have forgotten." And it's like, you can always, like, just yeah, just reach out and say hi.
I like that so much because I do on my end feel like I think of my friends and then I don't want to text them just thinking of you because I feel like they'll look at me weird or they feel weird about it.
Why?
I don't know, but then if I get something like that, I'm like, "Oh." So yeah, I just got to stop judging myself and finding your community, finding your travel community wherever is also a mental preparation too. Like you got to train yourself to just be like, don't care about what other people think.
Yes, yes.
You're you.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's especially when you're meeting new people, like, when you just break that ice, you realize the other person is, like, just as nervous as you are,
100%.
or they're just, like, waiting for somebody to talk to them, they don't wanna, like, make the first move.
Mhm.
I love meeting people like that. It's like you, like, break the ice and then suddenly they're like, "Oh, yeah, I'm so glad you asked me," and then they go on, and
Yeah.
you're like, "Oh."
Actually, I had a situation in the Philippines where I was in this beautiful hostel in Siargao, and I went in and the vibes were great. However, definitely felt like everyone was still friends already.
Mm.
And y'all, if you know LA and Flight, I'm pretty social. I'm pretty outgoing. And I still get really, really nervous meeting people and I get embarrassed. I'm like, are they going to like me? Or am I going to be accepted? Am I going to make any friends? What am I going to come out of this with? And I remember after like a couple of hours, setting up, wandering around, relaxing, one girl, and I was trying to insert myself into like some conversations or hang around with some people, but like to no success just yet. And one girl like really pulled me in because she's like, I've been that girl that's been alone at the hostel so many times and showed up alone. And I always appreciated when other people pull me into the group. So, I wanted to help you because I saw that you kind of seemed like timid about it. I was like,
Oh.
thank you so
Yeah.
much. So, like, even people like me
Mhm.
still get nervous, still get scared. And I was on Christine Lozada's podcast, Everyday
Yeah.
Badassery, about that. Like, confidence. I love this quote she has. Like, confidence is a muscle. You have to exercise it.
Mm.
You have to practice
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
or you're not going to get better.
Right.
That's
Confidence,
so
not
true.
cockiness.
Yes. And to that point, I actually, well, by the time this releases, I will have had my last week in the league, but I'm currently, as we're recording, part of a cornhole league in downtown LA because I wanted to expand my circles.
Mhm.
That's
I wanted
awesome.
Yeah, it's really fun, and cornhole is, like, 0 impact, if you know me, I also just got a knee surgery, so I'm, like, recovering, but there's, like, dodgeball, there's kickball, but people are like, "Why did you do this?" I'm like, and someone, even my sister was like, "I'm surprised you joined it because it's so far away from where I live," and I've noticed too that everyone in the league, like, really lives pretty locally, like close, like walking distance to the bar.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
But I'm like, well, I'm down in LA a lot anyway, and how am I like, I don't wanna just keep going to bars and drinking, and that's how I meet people. Also, that's not how I meet people these days, but, like,
Yeah, you wanna find
besides the
something that's
normal happy hours. Yeah, and I'm like
engaging, not just drinking.
exactly. And I'm a big believer in, like, you never know who you're gonna meet,
Yeah,
stay ready, like
totally. Can I come and do cornhole with you? I
yes,
wanna do
the next
cornhole.
league. So, okay. Well, Trizzy actually asked me if she can join this time.
Yeah.
I didn't tell you this, but I was thinking about it, and then I think you were gone, so and the signups were closing, so I just did it, signed myself up. But this time I wanted to be like, you know what? I have to keep flexing this confidence and practicing this confidence muscle,
Yeah.
and I really think I need to do it on my own this league this time because I know if I had friends with me, all I'd be doing
Yeah,
is talking to my friends.
True.
that is
So
true.
true.
So that's why I'm like, I'm gonna join it this once
Mhm.
alone because I need to keep practicing getting out there and being on my own.
Right.
And obviously happy to sign up with others in the future. Cause yeah, you can sign up as a group, you can sign up as a pair, as solo. I'm a free agent right now. Even when I'm at home, I have to practice making friends, being confident, finding community,
Mhm.
right? And to be honest, like I feel like I have more to lose in LA doing that. Ooh, we're getting real deep here.
Yeah.
But I feel that because people can think LA is like superficial and that it's full of, and especially looking from the outside in and certain parts of it,
Yeah, it's hard to make friends in LA.
we just want to be models and influencers and blah, blah, etc.
And people aren't here for a long time, or they're here just for one thing. Like they're here to act, or they're here to like do a job. They're not here to like settle down and make roots.
Right.
Mhm.
I feel like, and I like having my home base here. So I'm here most of the time, but when I'm abroad, I'm like, well, if I don't make friends this trip, it's fine. If I do, even better, right? But I have a weird relationship with trying to make friends here versus trying to make friends abroad because I feel like it is harder here sometimes.
I've definitely heard that from people who just moved to LA. I've lived in LA for like
Your whole life.
my whole life. I mean, I moved away for a while and I moved back in like 2000.
Wait, where were you living?
Um, I was in Brazil,
Ooh.
and then
Wow.
before that, I was San Francisco, and then before that, Santa Cruz.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then LA is like home base because my parents are here, and it's easy for me to like travel because I don't have like an apartment or something that I have to.
Pay a mortgage on or whatnot.
Well, now I have this house, but
Oh, yeah. The adventure abode.
Yes.
that's different. We want you to come and stay.
Yes.
Exactly. Big Bear located only like what, 2.5 hours from Los Angeles
Yes.
proper.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. That's what did I want to say? Like, we were so excited that this friendship has turned into like, look, now we get to record a fun episode like at your house. Like,
Yeah.
we're invited as guests at your house that you own. Like, that's what our friendship has turned into,
Yeah.
which is really cool.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the power of all the travel groups
Yeah.
that we're in.
And maybe I'm different from like other people who have like a house that they rent out and stuff, but I wanted to make this place also for friends.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to make sure that I could have friends over and we could enjoy Big Bear. It's really nice and cool here in the summers when in LA it can be like 500 degrees and you're dying, and then you can come up to Big Bear and it's so close and like it's 75 degrees and perfect.
Wow.
So that's I'm just so excited that I can bring my friends here. That's why I wanted to do a short-term rental instead of a long-term rental. Because a long-term rental, you have tenants, so you can't just be like, "Can you
You
go out
can't,
for the
yeah.
weekend?"
I love it. And it does give off that vibe of community, of comfort.
100%.
Yay! That's exactly what I want. Like fun and like
More amenities than I've
hominess.
seen in
Oh yeah,
homestay.
for real.
And I'm not even joking when I say, I'm not even exaggerating when I say more amenities. Like, she got a coffee
Tell me
grinder
more.
and a hand lotion, a shaker. She got a pack and play, some
Yeah,
luggage
bring your
holders.
kids, bring your dog. There's a huge backyard,
Yes.
jacuzzi,
Jacuzzi.
fire pit that I just brought up.
I feel like there were other questions that were dying to be answered about.
Oh, should we go back to judgment?
We could, because we didn't really talk about like the mental side of it.
I think that's so important because that's like what I mean, I know when I'm meeting a whole bunch of strangers, I don't want to be judged. I mean, you felt like I was judging you, and
I
I
just
didn't
felt
even mean to.
like I just felt like not that I'm everyone's cup of tea, like no one is, but I was like, "Oh, like she's a really
But
good
Leah,
friend of
you're totally
Mila."
my cup of tea.
I do have a question for you two, since you guys are great with finding your community and being social butterflies. Do you guys have any mental preparation tips that you guys do? Like, do you talk to yourself in the mirror, affirmations and stuff? Like,
Ooh, I do.
What do you do? I wanna hear what you do, your routine. Maybe I can learn from you.
mm-hmm.
I do a state change. It's just like a life hack. I watch a lot of life hack like YouTubes and podcasts and books, so I'm excited to share. But a state change is basically like change your physiology, and like one way to do it is like through moving your body, because it like makes your blood flow and it activates the vagus nerve, changes your blood pressure, your breathing pattern. So like even just like running in place or doing some jumping jacks, it helps to like wake your body up and then like get yourself out of your head. Like I get in my head a lot. I get worried. Like you know, like, oh my God, she's thinking about me. Like what's happening? Like, or thinking about something that happened before, and then I have to go into a social event and, you know, smile when like maybe I didn't do so well on something and run around the block. And then another thing I do is breath work. And that is a practice that has really been effective. It's people call it a meditation, and I also do meditation, but sometimes for me the breath work, it's just really intense breathing,
Yeah.
and it really changes the it literally changes the levels of oxygen in your blood. So it's a physiological change in your body, and then that actually changes your brain state. And if I can focus on like, okay, I'm here to be present in the moment and be open and like welcoming with a smile on my
Mm-hmm.
face and my eyes,
Yeah.
then I can be present. And I think that's the way I think about it, is like being present in the moment.
Love that. Yeah. I
That's
love
good.
the breath work. I've been somewhat recently introduced to breath work by one of my friends' sister. She's a breath work coach. And her practice opened my eyes to like, wow, these breath work, it can be intense, because I thought just deep breathing was breath work, but that's part of mindfulness, that's part of meditation. It's like the whole group of things, but there's another level to breath work. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness. So I have tried some practices, and it
So
does,
you know.
yeah, I know a little bit, but I have not used it to prepare myself in a social environment. So that is good tip for me to get
Yeah.
into.
I need to try that, some breath work.
There's an app I have. I'll show you
Oh,
the app.
okay.
Yeah.
What's the app called for the audience?
Breathwork.
Oh, literally?
I mean, if you're curious about my friend's sister, her handle is Prana Flow, flow without the W. So it's Prana Flow.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
She's
great.
been great. So I'm gonna look into breath work as well.
Yeah.
Having an app too.
I just take a few deep breaths.
Yeah.
I'm not on the level of breath work that y'all are at. And I'm so when I prep, I take a few deep and you're talking are you talking like weeks in advance or like right before you step
Maybe like right before, because I feel like I could prep for weeks, but when
right.
that day comes, it's just like an interview, a job interview. I'm just gonna freak out.
Yeah. I think, yeah, take a couple deep breaths to steady myself, but I also and I have to remind myself to be this way because it was different growing up and when I was younger. Kind of the affirmations and reminders, like telling myself to listen more than you speak,
Mm.
pause, right? Pause and let people maybe complete their sentences or like complete thoughts or add more onto what they said. I know why are you laughing?
I feel the same way.
It was like and
Don't interrupt people.
yeah, or like intake rather and like ask questions too,
Yeah,
rather than making it all about me, which I feel like I did,
I've done
a
that. Yeah.
bit growing up and whatnot. So I'm trying to be better and it's a journey.
Be interested and not interesting.
Yeah.
Mm.
Ted Lasso, be curious, not judgmental as
Ted
well,
Lasso.
right? Yeah, so those are two of the main things I do right before I step into a social setting. And then reminders to even like step away for a few minutes too, if that, whether that's just like standing alone in the corner or at the bar,
Yeah,
or like even
no.
being on my phone if I want to, but just taking myself out of the social setting
Yeah.
to
Going to the
reset.
bathroom.
Yeah.
I'll do that. I'll just go even if I don't have to go, I just like to, like,
Mhm.
be alone for a second.
Mhm.
Oh, that's smart.
I do it, yeah. I definitely do
I
it.
just go to the bathroom because I have to pee. But that's smart because, I mean, I didn't think of that, like, leaving the table to just reset, do more deep breathing, get yourself back in there and let everything sink in. Because what happens sometimes is I'll go home and I'm just exhausted from socializing rather than taking that
Yeah.
break.
These are good tips.
For real.
I'm in all of these travel groups on Facebook groups, one of my favorite things. People are constantly asking, how can I meet friends on the road? And so people put the usual like, oh, meetup or like Bumble BFF, etc. And I totally believe in online, like online methods, right? There's different ways, there's different Facebook groups you can join and whatnot. But as far as like meeting in person, using other connections, like have you tried or meeting in person? I'm sorry. What am I trying to say? Ooh, is this margarita getting to me? I
It's
can't
definitely
even
getting to
form.
me. This is my second one.
What am I trying to say? Besides like um meeting people in person on purpose, or in addition to meeting people in person, like going to a hostel or going to like a group tour, or asking your friends, hey, do you know anyone in like Barcelona? Like, do those have you tried those methods? Do those work for you? Like, what else would you add to those? Because I have a ton I could offer up, but I want to hear if you have any.
One thing I just thought of is that so this last year for the this first part of the year, I was on the staff for the newspaper for the college newspaper at the local community college, Santa Monica College, and I was on staff as a photojournalist. And one of the things is that you have to get the name of the person that you're photographing. Like you really need to, or you, if possible, it's really great to have their name and like something about them. So like what they're in college, like what's their major, like what's their year, like what are they, you know, what are they interested in for school? And I found that in some cases people were pretty embarrassed to talk, but other cases people would be really like wanting to talk.
Yeah.
And I realized it wasn't that hard to just ask that question. And so having the camera in my hand kind of like helped break the ice, and having the
Yeah.
excuse of like I'm taking pictures for the paper instead of like
Yeah. Your media pass, right?
I
Right,
have a press
right.
pass.
Yeah.
Press pass. Yeah.
Um but I remember like in one case I was talking to the guy from the astronomy club, and I mean he was like so knowledgeable and like just happy to share. So we were talking about astronomy, not astrology. I know a lot about astrology, not so much about astronomy. And he was but it was cool. It was like it was a topic that he really liked and he enjoyed talking about. So I feel like once I get talking to somebody who is talking about something that they really like, that's a great way to break the
Yeah.
ice and make a friend.
Yeah.
I don't know, you know, if you don't have a press pass,
Mhm.
but if there's some other way, like talking about somebody's earrings, or like, where did you get
Right.
those?
Yeah.
Or like, you know, that hat, like, I love that hat.
Thanks.
I don't know, like, where did you get
No.
it? But then sometimes it gets awkward, and then you have to be like, okay, well.
No, I like that. Yeah, I do feel like what I've worn and having the camera in my hand have helped people approach me sometimes. They'll be like, "Oh, nice Iverson jersey," or like, "Whoa, what's that?"
We've had people comment that on our
Yeah.
Instagram.
It's always
Like literally.
because it's I don't know why, but guys, when especially guys, when they see female wearing like one of their MVPs jerseys and stuff like that, they're just all about it. And I'm like,
They love that. They love
Yeah.
the Trizzy.
but even with like my Insta360 camera, like
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
people
Mhm.
don't know. There's a lot of people who still don't know what that is, and that kind of
Oh,
shocks
yeah.
me. But I love explaining to them what it's about.
It shocks you.
It does shock me.
There's
I'm
a
like,
lot of
you
people
don't
that
know
don't
this
know.
camera? But
Don't be judgmental.
yeah, I know. Come on now.
You don't know what FA60 is?
But yeah, that having something that is probably eye-catching or whatever you think can start a conversation is a good tip to
Yeah.
have too.
So just like carry a parrot on your shoulder at all
Yeah.
times then, right?
Like, who's that guy?
Best tip for those out there,
Mhm.
carry a parrot.
Yeah. Or a shirt, a friend's shirt.
Or just wear an Iverson jersey. No one will ever leave you alone. So actually, maybe y'all can help me with I'm supposed to go to Philly in mid-July by myself for a sporting event. Actually, Premier League's coming, but I'm worried cuz I have to go make friends. I want to go meet people, but I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is like a real life."
Wear a Liverpool jersey.
I'm not going to any Liverpool games. They're not coming. I'm going to a Chelsea game. I'm going to a Aston Villa game, Newcastle. Uh yeah, and I haven't been to Philly in like almost 30 years. I know a few people there, but I also want to be
How are you 30 years old?
what?
She went to Philly when she was 1.
And like it's kind of crazy because like I love football, aka soccer, for all of the Americans watching and listening. I love it. I love a good game, but Premier League is like serious stuff. And I'm actually scared. This is like a real concern. So by the time this episode comes out, it'll still be like another 3 or 4 weeks till I go to Philly. But I'm like worried that people are gonna be like, "Oh, you're not a real fan. Like you don't actually support any of these teams."
What I hope your experience is going to be like is when I went to London, I saw a West Ham game.
But you went with
I went with
friends.
Jess, yeah, but that environment, that soccer environment, I know it's the UK, so they're super into it. I'm hoping that soccer fans in the US knows that and they bring that energy, same energy into the US stadium, US arena for you so that when you sit down, everybody is just like cheering with each
I
other.
hope
Yeah, I hope
so.
so.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, do I look up Facebook groups? Do I
You might need to look
I'm the
on.
last one who
do
knows.
I slip into the
You might
DMs of
have to do
the
that.
PLI and USA account on Instagram? Like, I'm also is it sad though? Like, talk about me being introvert and still being worried that people are gonna judge me. Like, I'm actually scared people are gonna be like, "You're not a real fan. You don't know nothing about any of these teams,
Mm,
about any of these English teams."
Do they
And be like, "Actually, I really don't. I just like soccer."
they might be. If they're drunk enough, people will bash.
But like, I'm cute enough for them to not bash, right? But also but I've been bashed before. Anyone listening to this or watching this has any advice for me, hit the DMs, leave a comment, you know? I will definitely do my own research, but this goes to show that like even someone so extroverted can still feel nervous and think about an event months in advance.
Yeah. We're all people, we're all human, so that's what is great about our podcast is like we show you our raw side as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's really relatable because not everybody knows about everything.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so there's got to be a way to like be yourself and be authentic and not pretend like you know everything and still be like, okay.
I guess it's also a good excuse for me like, "Hi, can you teach me?"
Right now, I think you're looking into more of the negative side,
Oh, 100%.
and we could try and help you rewire. Yeah,
Yeah, let's reframe
exactly.
this.
Because that's also part of manifesting, and you don't want to keep manifesting all the negative side.
Oh my god.
So,
So we're gonna
everybody
do that.
send positive vibes
Yeah,
to
and we're
Leah.
gonna do that in the adventure abode
Yes,
this
we are.
weekend. Yay!
Damn right.
In this beautiful space that you've provided.
All right, we're going into the T2A Q2A, which is the Ticket to Anywhere quick to answer segment. Akemi, 3 questions for you. And the first one is, do you have any ritual or routines upon arrival to any place?
Ugh. Yeah, meditation.
Oh,
Love that.
love that.
All right. What else are you besides a traveler?
Oh my god, photographer.
Snap, snap. Last one. What is your biggest travel flex? Like, what is one thing that you think you're so good at in your traveling?
Oh my god. Uh the off the beaten track, like unexpected, like showing up and like going after something that makes no sense.
Ooh, I love that.
100%.
Unorthodox.
That's why you're the coolest.
Yeah.
Now, please let everyone know where they can find your lovely self.
Find me at Akemi's Adventures on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. At Akemi Captures on Instagram. AkemiCaptures.com, which is my website. And I will be making an Akemi. No, it's not Akemi. It's the Adventure Abode on Instagram for coming here. And you can find the Adventure Abode in Big Bear on Airbnb and Verbo.
Thank you so much for being
Yeah,
on,
thank you,
Akemi.
Akemi. This was great. Thanks for all your tips. There are some items in this episode we may get a small commission from if you buy through our direct links. It helps us to keep creating fun and super helpful travel content for you.
We wouldn't be anywhere without the support you've given us, and for that, we're always appreciative. To support the podcast even further with just a $2 donation, head to buymeacoffee.com/ticket to anywhere.
To be the first to get our episodes, subscribe to Ticket to Anywhere on YouTube.
Share this episode with a friend if you found it helpful.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Listen to Ticket to Anywhere wherever you get your podcasts.